Welcome, my fellow horror enthusiasts, to a place where shadows whisper and nightmares come to life. Welcome to our channel, where we delve into the darkest corners of the supernatural. Tonight we embark on a chilling journey to haunted cottages, those seemingly quaint and peaceful abodes that harbor secrets darker than the darkest night. We'll unravel three spine-chilling tales of ghostly residents, their tormented souls forever bound to the walls that confined them in life and death. Turn off the lights if you dare, silence your phones lest you interrupt the whispers from beyond. And most importantly, prepare to be terrified, for these are not just stories, they are windows into the abyss. Deep within a secluded forest, shrouded by ancient trees and an eerie silence, stood a cottage. From the outside it was picture perfect. Ivy creeping up the stone walls, smoke curling lazily from the chimney, a porch swing swaying gently in the breeze. But beneath the surface a darkness festered, a chill that seeped into the very bones of the cottage. This is the story of the Harper family, drawn to the cottage's allure, seeking solace and tranquility in its embrace. John and Mary Harper, along with their two young children, Lily and Ethan, arrived brimming with hope, eager to start a new chapter in their lives. They were blissfully unaware of the unseen eyes that watched their every move, the whispers that slithered through the trees. The first few days were uneventful, the silence of the woods a comforting change from the cacophony of city life. But as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the cottage, the first sign revealed itself. A soft, almost imperceptible scratching sound emanated from the attic, like tiny claws scraping against wood. John dismissed it as a squirrel, but Mary couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. As days turned into nights, the scratching grew more persistent, more insistent, accompanied by the creaking of floorboards beneath unseen feet. Objects began to move inexplicably, a vase shattering on the floor, a chair found overturned in the middle of the room. Lily, her innocent eyes wide with terror, spoke of a shadowy figure that stood at the foot of her bed, its cold breath sending shivers down her spine. One particularly stormy night, as the wind howled and rain lashed against the windows, the entity made its presence undeniable. A piercing scream tore through the silence, jolting the family awake. It was Lily, her tiny body trembling uncontrollably, her eyes filled with unspeakable terror. She pointed a shaking finger at the corner of the room where a swirling mist had coalesced into the shape of a gaunt figure, its eyes glowing with an eerie, malevolent light. Panic seized the family. John ushered his family out of the house, the storm outside mirroring the terror that raged within their hearts. They huddled together in the car, the engine a comforting rumble against the cacophony of the storm and the unseen presence that pressed against the windows. They fled, leaving behind their possessions, their dreams of a peaceful life shattered. The woods cottage stood silent once more, the storm subsiding as quickly as it had arrived, the only evidence of the family's terror, the faint scratching sound emanating from the attic. The Harpers never returned to the cottage. The memory of that night forever seared into their minds. The salt-laced air carried the scent of the sea, a constant reminder of the vast, unforgiving expanse that lay just beyond the dunes. Perched precariously on the edge of a windswept cliff stood a solitary cottage, its weathered facade a testament to years spent battling the elements. This was no ordinary seaside retreat. This was a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thin. The Seaside Cottage, as it was known, had once been home to a young fisherman named Thomas and his beloved Emily. Their love was the stuff of legends, their laughter echoing through the halls, their happiness as boundless as the ocean itself. But their joy was short-lived. Their love story tragically cut short by a raging storm that claimed Thomas and his fishing vessel, dragging him beneath the waves while Emily watched helplessly from the shore. Now, decades later, the cottage stood empty, save for the presence of Thomas, his soul tethered to the place where he'd last known love, his spirit forever searching for his lost Emily. Visitors to the cottage spoke of strange occurrences, unexplained phenomena that hinted at the presence of something not of this world. The most common occurrence, a chilling calling card of the heartbroken sailor, was the sound of dripping water, like that of a steady leak echoing through the silent cottage. But upon investigation, no source for the dripping could be found. Some whispered that it was the sound of seawater dripping from Thomas's spectral form, a constant reminder of his watery grave. Then there were the footprints, wet footprints, appearing as if by magic, leading from the foot of the bed towards the sea. Each morning the caretaker would find them, a trail of dampness leading to the precipice, only to disappear at the edge of the cliff. One stormy night, a group of friends, seeking adventure and a break from the mundane, decided to spend the night at the Seaside Cottage. They dismissed the local tales as mere superstition, their laughter echoing through the empty halls, their skepticism fueled by youthful bravado. As the night wore on, the storm raged outside, mirroring the growing unease within the cottage. One by one, the friends reported feeling a cold spot in the living room, a sudden drop in temperature that sent shivers down their spines. Then the dripping started. Slow at first, then growing more insistent, each drop like a hammer blow against the silence. Fear, palpable and suffocating, began to creep into their laughter, their faces paling in the flickering candlelight. Then one of the friends, a young woman named Sarah, noticed the footprints, wet footprints leading from the bedroom she was sharing with her friend towards the sea. Her blood ran cold. She woke her friend, her voice trembling, her finger pointing at the chilling evidence. Suddenly, a gust of wind slammed the cottage door open, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into darkness. A collective gasp escaped the group, their hearts pounding in their chests, and then they saw him. A translucent figure shimmering in the moonlight that streamed through the open door. He was tall and gaunt, his clothes dripping wet, his face obscured by shadow. Nestled deep within a forgotten valley, shrouded in an almost tangible sense of dread, stood a dilapidated cottage. Its windows, like vacant eyes, stared out at the world, their glass, long since shattered, replaced by boarded-up planks. This was no ordinary abandoned dwelling. This was a place where darkness lingered. This was the Cursed Cottage. Locals whispered tales of the cottage, their voices hushed, their eyes wide with fear. It was said that the land upon which the cottage stood was tainted, cursed by a tragedy so horrific it poisoned the ground. The story spoke of a woman named Eliza, her beauty rivaled only by her kind heart. She lived in the cottage with her husband, a cruel and jealous man driven mad by suspicion. One night, consumed by delusions, he accused Eliza of infidelity, ending her life within the walls that had once been their sanctuary. Eliza's body was never found, her fate a mystery that haunted the valley. Some whispered that her husband buried her beneath the floorboards, her spirit forever bound to the place of her demise. Others claimed she vanished, her soul unable to find peace, her rage lingering like a toxic fog. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain: the cottage was cursed. Those who dared to spend a night within its crumbling walls were subjected to terrifying visions, their dreams plagued by nightmares. Some claimed to see Eliza herself, her spectral form flitting through the shadows, her eyes burning with a cold, vengeful light. One night, a group of paranormal investigators decided to spend the night in the Cursed Cottage. Armed with cameras and EMF readers, they crossed the threshold, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. As darkness descended, the temperature inside the cottage plummeted. The air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread, the silence broken only by the creaking of the old house. The investigators fanned out, their flashlights cutting through the gloom, capturing every nook and cranny. One by one, they began to report feeling uneasy, a sense of being watched. Their equipment malfunctioned, batteries draining, cameras glitching, capturing strange anomalies. And then the visions started. One investigator, Mark, stumbled back from a darkened corner, his face ashen, his eyes wide with terror. He stammered about seeing a woman, her face contorted in rage, her hand outstretched. Another investigator, Sarah, reported feeling a sharp pain on her arm as if branded by a hot iron. When she looked down, she found 3 long red scratches. Panic began to set in. The investigators, their skepticism shattered, decided to abandon their investigation. But as they turned to leave, they found the door bolted shut, an unseen force holding it fast. They were trapped. The flickering embers of the fire cast dancing shadows on the walls, a stark reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the veil of our reality. We've journeyed through haunted cottages, felt the icy breath of vengeful spirits, and confronted the terrifying power of the supernatural. But remember, these are not just stories. They are glimpses into the abyss, a chilling reminder that the line between our world and the next is fragile, easily breached by those who linger beyond the grave. If you enjoyed these tales of terror, if the shadows whispered back to you tonight, then subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time, my fellow horror enthusiasts, may your sleep be dreamless and your nightmares stay confined to the stories we share. Keep those lights on.